Hello, Internet. You're listening to the In Your House Comedy Podcast with the Babyface. Prepare to have an autographical orgasm in 3, 2, 1.
Random thing to keep you, to make you a bit different, make you stand out a bit. And
that's exactly, isn't it?
Yeah. A lot of people think it's because of actual having a baby face.
Yeah.
Which I have always had a baby face, to be fair. Like I'm older than people think. Like I'm almost 30.
I'm a bit older than that myself, and people actually say that I look pretty old. It's been tough times, yeah.
But it's a wrestling term anyway.
Yeah.
What it actually is. It means a good guy.
Yeah, well, when it comes to wrestling, I'm absolutely mad on wrestling, old school
Are
wrestling.
you?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
My man, so you understand the name of this podcast?
Yeah,
then?
of course I did. I remember watching one of the first In Your House with Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
It's back then it was Hulk Hogan, and then it went over to the Undertaker. I've always been massive on the Undertaker. Shawn Michaels. Later on,
proper worker.
oh, he's still going. Let the man retire.
Yeah, he wants to do it though. He keeps asking. He's supposed to be on SmackDown, but he chose not to be.
Man should just retire. He should have retired after he broke. When the streak broke, which I hated, by the way, it should have ended. It should have been Triple H come back one more time, or Shawn Michaels come back one more time. And when you saw that one match where Shawn Michaels and Triple H came back to fight Undertaker and Kane in Dubai, it was just such. Shawn Michaels being bold for a start. It was Saudi Arabia. It was so weird to see him like that, and it was so wooden.
Bold, Shawn Michaels.
It was a wooden night where nothing went right, and it was so depressive. But yeah, no, I've always loved my wrestling. I've always
good,
been.
Man.
I am a big geek in the end. I absolutely love it. I watch all the highlight reels. NXT.
Still now as well?
Yeah. And I am starting to get into AEW, which is,
I was ask you about that.
Oh, I love what they're doing over there.
It's so different. I mean, it's a bit messy at the moment, but you should expect that because they're trying to they're not looking at WWE. They're trying to do their own thing, and it's going to be messy because that's how they go. Like the win-loss thing, I don't think is going to stick forever.
Yeah.
I don't think it can after, I mean, imagine like half a year down the line and it can't stick forever because it's still line stuff,
But one of the best things in WWE or WWF as it was back then, in the history of it, was when WCW and ECW came together and the huge invasion. It was incredible, right? So potentially...
That was peak time for me as a kid.
Potentially in years to come, we might see AEW invade WWE.
I hope not, because that means WWE bought them.
Well, they have threatened to do it before. They have the money, and this will be the time that they are building traction now.
Yeah.
And WWE, if you watch a lot of their shows, there's a lot of signage going out. There's a lot of chants going out for AEW.
Yeah, they don't want to be.
No, exactly.
They're removing anyone that comes in with AEW signs. They're removing. And to be fair though, AEW are removing any signs that come in that are anti-WWE.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool, to be fair.
Well,
I like that.
They're fighting fire with fire, and it's the right thing to do. But they are definitely on the increase at the moment.
Yeah.
AEW, give it another year, and I think a lot of these things will be ironed out, and it's going to be a nice, smooth show. But
and they've got a billionaire backing them, so I don't think being bought out by Vince at the moment is a feasible thing.
No, probably not. But eventually it will become a threat, because it is a huge business.
But they've got to decide to sell it to Vince, and they won't.
No, there are ways. Yeah, you're right. But I think the time will come, like a lot of new businesses, that it'll reach a point where it can expand or it'll start to decrease. And that all depends over the next couple of years with AEW. They've got a TV slot just the same as WWE are now on, is it FX or is it on Sport or something like that now?
Well, it's on Fox in America.
Fox, that's it, yeah.
I don't think it's changed over here. But that's the one thing with AEW. They've lost their live Dynamite UK deal.
Yep.
That sucks.
They have a huge UK fan base, and
huge,
to have that,
and they need to sort it out.
Yeah,
they really need to sort that out.
So we might see something in years to come, but I'd love to see a crossover eventually. But it would have to be done right, and then
it could be. I really can't imagine that scenario because WWE at the moment they're just throwing everything at the wall, and it's gone to shit. Like they were doing so well. Like last week was the biggest week for wrestling fans in so long.
Oh, I was so disappointed. Tyson Fury and all that.
That was smart.
They've done this before with Mike Tyson years ago.
And Floyd Mayweather.
Oh God, we're against the Big Show and all that. Braun Strowman is a character that should have been pushed more. Yeah. He needs to be doing more. But no, every time he stepped aside, and it annoys the hell out of me. But the man who will eventually take over is Triple H. what he's done with NXT. NXT is absolutely. They brought back one of my favourite types of matches, War Games.
Yeah, War Games.
Which was genius. And then they put these teams in that were perfect to fight against each other.
Was it Undisputed ever been in both, have they?
Yeah, they done both. You had the Viking War Raiders, as they were originally called.
War Raiders.
Yeah, they keep changing the name, don't they?
I liked Viking Experience, you know.
Yeah.
When it came up, I liked it, and everyone bitched about it.
It was good, but it had such a good fan base in NXT. But when it came over, they decided to change it again. I don't know why. It's like Authors of Pain.
YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Anything that's like got war in it, or like some kind of stuff like it's demonetized or something.
Oh, but then you got Authors of Pain, who are finally coming back in, and they were good. They were brilliant back then, and they've been pushed aside. There's a lot of big names who came from NXT that have kind of been pushed away, you know. But Ricochet, I've been watching him since back at the Temple, back on I can't remember, it was Aztec Warfare. And it was absolutely phenomenal Mexican wrestling show they used to do.
Literally,
Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
He was absolutely.
He was masked, wasn't he?
Prince Puma.
Puma.
He was the man. Deserves all the credit in the world. He is the AJ of the Mexican world who's just come into it. AJ's looking to retire in the next year or two. This man's going to take over, and he's just phenomenal. He is. What he's doing is just up in the game.
He hasn't got the charisma or mic skills yet, though.
No, he hasn't. But like with everything,
He'll come.
Yeah. He needs to be put with the right people to get him to that point, and I think he will get there.
Paul Heyman is good for that kind of stuff, helping people. But at the same time, since he's took over Raw, there has been some downsides to it still.
Yeah, and there will be times.
Did you see the whole everything to do with Lashley and Lana?
Oh yeah, what is all that about? He was supposed to be brought back later on in the year, and he was supposed to be set up for a title shot. And they brought him back in this weird storyline where his wife's basically taken everything from him. And Lashley, who in I can't remember which business it was. Was it Non-Stop Wrestling or something?
Yeah.
And he was brilliant as the bad guy. Now he's come back and he's a joke.
Yeah. He's still a bad guy, but he's a shit bad guy.
Oh, yeah, he's rubbish. Best bad guy at the moment, hands down, is Baron Corbin. I love that guy. I think what he's doing is incredible.
You know what? It's hard to argue. Him with the whole thing with The Rock and Becky Lynch. Like,
oh, yeah.
Becky Lynch and Corbin, a lot of people normally get swallowed up by The Rock, but both of them, I thought, kept up with him.
Oh,
definitely.
Becky Lynch.
Testicle line.
I love Becky Lynch, but there are a few the women wrestlers I don't know. They're just not quite there yet.
Yeah.
You know, Charlotte Flair. She rides she's amazing. She rides her name really well, and I'm quite glad she's taken the mantle.
Yeah.
But there's Becky Lynch, the man. She every time some of the moves she's doing now, she's definitely up in the game every time. Yeah. She has taken. We're not in the Attitude Era anymore, but we're in this era now where there's a huge change happening, and it's great. We saw the first Women's Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And that
I was saying for ages needed to do that.
Yeah. Well, the problem was we had a couple other franchises threatening to do it as well.
And and not enough women.
Well, that's it. Well, NXT had a load of women come in for training. They started doing the shows, and then loads of them got pushed in, which was brilliant. But then we had our first ever women's event, which was Evolution, yeah. And there were some down parts, and there were some good parts. Ronda Rousey, I absolutely loved.
She was such a surprise. From her first match, she was just... I didn't expect anything in that match at WrestleMania, and then straight away, just like, wow, okay.
She put in the mileage, she did. She put in the training. She wanted to prove that she's not here just for a token name.
She wasn't a Brock Lesnar.
No.
She was a proper... Like, when Batista comes back, he always works matches. He works dark matches. He tries, he goes for it.
Yeah.
She did the same.
Oh, okay. But no, it's all good.
Yeah, man.
We just talked about wrestling for the past 20 minutes. That's pretty
good. I did start a wrestling podcast in on its own.
Yeah.
And then it's just the guy that I was doing it with just wasn't able to come down enough. And now, fucking wrestling's on like every other day.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Can't get away from it.
When I was a kid, you'd have maybe Monday Night Raw, and it was either you watched Raw or you watched WCW Nitro, and that was it. You didn't really have much other options.
I was doing
now. Oh yeah, I've always been WWF, but I've always liked to look over the garden fence and see Sting, Scott Steiner, the Wolfpack, NWO were brilliant in the early days. And then when they came over to WWE, it was such a letdown.
But that was the thing, as you mentioned earlier, with the invasion angle when they did that. They didn't buy out all the good TNT contracts, the big ones. So you didn't have your Goldberg, you didn't have Ric Flair, you didn't have
Sting.
Yeah,
Sting is the bravest man in wrestling because he turned around and he did the very last match on WCW against Ric Flair, and he turned around and said, "I'm not coming over. No matter how much money you offer me, I'm not coming over." And what was it, 20 years? 20 plus years?
Yeah.
He came back. I mean, God, he was in his mid-50s, late 50s, right? And he went up against Triple H. It was a brilliant match. It was quite a basic match, but it was a good match. NWO coming down against Degeneration. I was Degeneration.
Well, in a sense, because Sting was always against NWO, but at the same time, it was like that loyalty.
He also had connections with the Wolf Pack.
Yeah.
So he sometimes worked with them, but was always against them. It was quite clever.
It was so convoluted in the end, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Everyone was with everyone was against everyone.
I think it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and that's how the angle it went.
It was
a good match, and it kind of ended. But then he stayed around. He stayed around to go, and it annoyed me because he went up for the title against Seth Rollins.
Oh yeah.
And he broke his neck.
Yeah.
Against I can't stand the buckle bomb.
Yeah.
It's a terrible move.
He stopped using that now, hasn't he?
He started using it again.
Because he set up for the curb stomp from it.
Yeah. So you had, who was the first Universal Champion? It was Finn Balor. He broke his shoulder, collarbone and all that because of it. Sting ended his career with a broken neck, basically. And he always stated he was coming back for, it was like a 1 year or 2 year deal. All he wanted to do was to raise that title once.
Yeah.
That's all he wanted. And
personally, I don't think he should have anyway, and I don't think he was going to.
I think if he'd stuck around, we would have seen it once, just once. I'd have loved to have seen him against The Undertaker.
Yeah.
The Eras match would have been just phenomenal.
Considering what they did in his first match, against Triple H, that just buried him, I don't think they would have put the title on him.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what they did to Goldberg when he came over.
Oh, Goldberg's come back a number of times. I love Goldberg.
Sorry, go.
No, God, the match he did against Brock Lesnar when he came back, and it was a bit more, you said things about my family, so I'm coming after you. Like
personal.
Brock Lesnar was set up to be the undefeatable man. You could not break him. And then in that match, he was speared twice, jackhammered, and lost the title in a record amount of time.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, which has just been broken by Brock Lesnar against Kofi Kingston.
That was horrible, man.
Oh, the thing is, I like Brock Lesnar as a champion. He's not the greatest champion, but at the moment, there's not many people I can say who are on his level at the moment. Even Seth Rollins, he shouldn't have beat Brock Lesnar. He's not quite there yet. But it's just one of those things, isn't it? They got a lot of talent at the moment, but they don't seem to be going anywhere. And the storylines aren't complete. They're kind of all over the place.
Cain Velasquez, they're just kind of hoping the stuff's going to stick. Cain Velasquez not even signed apparently yet.
Yeah, but we always knew that all these big legends were leaving WWE eventually. Shawn Michaels and all that, and just let them go. But they keep bringing them back for these, trying to push people over. They got a whole room full of amazing characters waiting to come out. And they're just not pushing the right ones.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
They're trying to stick with their old people. They're getting a bit better lately. I think they might have started to learn. After the horribleness that was Undertaker and Goldberg, Crown Jewel, and then they brought Goldberg back and had him against Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
But putting an old with a new, no, Dolph Ziggler's not new, but still.
Dolph Ziggler deserves more. Yeah. I like him as a bad guy. Don't get me wrong, but he should have been like the next Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
I absolutely love some of the stuff he's done in the past. But yeah, when he went up against Goldberg, you could see what was going to happen. But the man took spear after spear after spear, and he kept the character going. It was brilliant.
It was great. And he's a comedian as well.
Yeah, he does stand up. I've seen some of his bits online, and he's funny guy. Yeah, he's a very funny guy. Yes.
I hadn't seen much of it. Last thing I'll say about wrestling, because we can carry on talking about it. It's so easy, isn't it, when you find someone else that likes wrestling?
That's it. Yeah.
Did you watch The Fiend and Rollins in the South?
Right, so I watched it the following day. I usually do stay up. I am a bit of a nerd. I will stay up and watch it. Same. 1 o'clock to about 4 o'clock in the morning. It's bloody knackering, but I will do it. But I only watch the highlights. And when I watched the Hell in a Cell match, I love what The Fiend is. I love the character they're trying to bring across.
Like an 80s.
Yeah.
It gets beaten down and comes back.
And he kept getting up, like Michael Myers. He just kept getting
exactly.
up.
Yeah.
But it went from being physical to being more comic book very quickly, and it's a shame. I like the fact that he's adopted the Mandible Claw, and Sister Abigail. I'm glad he kept that move. It's a good move. He's lost all the weight. He's got the character down, I love the fact that he's doing like what the Undertaker used to do, like lights off, he turns up. I love that type of thing.
They did it too much in the build-up to Hell in a Cell, I felt, though. It kind of lost its aura a bit.
And what's the deal with the red light all the time?
You know what? Normally, they've never done that before for him. But
they did it with Finn Balor.
No, they
didn't they?
Not in the match. No.
I didn't like it. I really didn't like it.
I normally don't, but for some reason, I just felt like it worked for that because it felt like a horror. I was okay with that. I was loving it all, absolutely loving it up until the bell rang.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When he DQ'd, I was like, you've DQ'd for the second year in a row as well.
Yeah.
Called off a fucking Hell in a Cell match. Like, all he had done was he did that, he went over, pinned him, and he jumped up straight away doing this crazy thing and then murdered him, took the title. That's all you needed.
I would like to see the Fiend win.
Yeah.
Because it would be nice to see the bad guy winning for a change. Yeah. You know, I'm not a big Seth Rollins fan. I'm not Roman Reigns. I can't stand him. You know, he did a lot against John Cena back in the day, and I was never the biggest fan. Same as John Cena, I'm not a big fan of him. I
appreciate him now, though.
Oh yeah, to a point, I suppose I do. But there are some good characters. I think it's a case of sticking with WWE and seeing what comes in the next year or two, because I think there are some amazing characters that will eventually get there. You know, like EC3, when he was in NXT, he was brilliant.
Yeah. It's insane, never very long though, did he?
No. I tell you, the two people I absolutely love watching in NXT was, is it Ciampa?
Yeah.
And who was the other one?
Gargano.
Yeah, that's it, Johnny Gargano. Yeah. Them two, their rivalry was brilliant. I love the Anywhere Fall type matches, the hardcore matches. And I was kind of hoping that they were going to bring it over onto the main stage. But they ended up didn't because of the injuries. Yeah. But now he's back. I think, but they're moving people from WWE to NXT now.
Yeah, it's basically not a developmental brand now. It's on you've got the same TV deal. Apparently, a lot of the ones that are on the developmental contracts are getting proper ones now. Yeah, which is sweet for them. Like, it's great.
Oh yeah, but it was always NXT was the proving grounds to get to the main show. Now Finn Balor is going, and Finn Balor has earned his right to be on the main stage. He is so gifted.
He's great. Yeah.
So he's now on
NXT. Right there,
when he was the first Universal Champion, I thought it was finally going in the right direction. We're going to see some new blood here, and it was about time. You know, it wasn't about being the biggest or the toughest. And that was what Shawn Michaels always used to say. It doesn't matter how big you are. I will fight you. I will put it all on the line, put on the best show.
Bret Hart too, arguably.
Yeah, Bret Hart. Yeah, you know, and now you see it. They're kind of sticking to the big guys again.
They are edging more to it. Now, it's just Vince McMahon, man. He's so out of touch with what's relevant. He really is.
It. But that's why Triple H is starting to take more control, which is great because what he does in NXT, what he did for the women's division, the tournaments and all that, what he's doing for the UK at the moment.
They've both been cancelled in May Young and Evolution this year.
Well, they
both been cancelled, but
you know what he's doing for the UK side of things as well. He deserves a lot more credit he doesn't get. But him and was it Road Dogg? Road Dogg's now split ways. He's no longer So you know, him and William Regal, they've done some amazing things. So I'd like to see what comes next. What I'd love to see is, because now we've lost Shane, right, off he goes. But I'd love to see the fight for control and interest in WWE against Shane McMahon and Triple H. That's one match I'd have loved to see.
He'll come back, Shane McMahon.
Oh yeah,
you know.
How many times was Vince fired? I used to love those. Him and Stone Cold. That era was genius. How many times did you want to punch your boss and stunner him? I used to do. I used to do all the time. I used to really want to do it. You know, apart from drinking beer on the job, which I got fired for, but that's another matter. But you know, he was a working man.
There's a great advert when I don't know if you've seen it. I think it's for the new game. A waiter walks into a restaurant, you know, with the food and that. Yeah. And Stone Cold's just sitting there, and there's this band just playing, you know, like. Whatever. And he sees them, and he just smashes the tray on the floor with the glass. Yeah. Just breaks, and then Stone Cold looks at him. And then the big violinist is like, do-doom, do-doom, do-doom.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
It's brilliant.